And let's bring in Fadel Abdul Ghany. He is the chairman and founder of the Syrian Network for Human Rights, and he joins us now from Doha. Thanks so much for being with us. It also has to be said that all parties involved in the Syrian war have been condemned in this report, but where have you seen the grossest violations?
Actually, there is a recognition clearly in the report, which is accused the Russian and the regime in crimes against humanity, unlike التقرير Sham, which is committed war crime. And also in the report, we noticed clearly that the scale of the violation is very much different between the regime. When the report is talking about displacement of 1 million Syrian citizens displaced due to the attack of the Russian, Iranian, and the regime. Of course, there is a violation from terrorist group, Tahrir Sham, but the scale is very much different. And this is the differentiation between the crimes against humanity, which is systematic and widespread, and the war crimes. The regime and his allies committed war crimes in addition to crimes against humanity by displacing, murder. The second important point also in this report is it's highlighted and nominally the Russian forces very clear. Actually, in previous report we noticed that they used the regime and his allies. Now in the previous report they named Russia one time, but this repeatedly accused Russian forces, which is very important for us, as Russian clearly committed war crimes in Syria.
Okay.
Also, the most notable issue, if you allow me, that out of 52 attacks in the report, 17 attacks against medical centers, 14 attacks against the school, 9 attacks against markets. That indicate clearly how is the regime and his allies, the Russian and the Iranian, deliberately targeting the vital centers, the vital facilities that lead the people to surrender or to be displaced.
Okay, so they have done this investigation. They have detailed all of the violations. Will anyone be held accountable?
Of course, anyone should be held accountable, but the responsibility of the state is coming first, always. And the forces and the army, which has been used, maybe if HTS or ISIS or other have this ability, maybe they committed further crime. But now, in their reality, we have the Russian forces, which is targeting clearly the medical facilities, the schools, and the market. This actually clear message for the UN Special Envoy to move ahead toward political solution, which is now it's dead. And also this is message for other states. This is not only responsibility for Iran and Russia and the regime. We know that they committed a lot of crimes, but also to the United States, to the UK, France, Germany, and other also states to move ahead and to protect the civilians in Syria, and also to put a timetable for this political process, which is actually almost dead. We're still at the pre-negotiation. Actually, we need a very decisive timetable in order to tell the Syrian that those crimes will stop. Actually, the final message by the report, actually, it's telling us, and the word, it's coming from neutral investigator, that those crimes are still being continuously committed, mainly by regime. So this is actually destroying the Russian narrative that rehabilitate the regime, lift sanction. Actually, regime should be sanctioned again and further sanctioned by the UN, not only by Turkey and by the US, by UK, by individual state and EU. The regime should be held sanctioned by the UN, and should the UN Security Council interfere under Chapter 7.
But as far as the political solution is concerned, which you've said is yourself is almost all but dead, where do you see this conflict going? How and when does it actually start to get resolved?
Unless the regime is pressure, real pressure, and he feels that there is no way except negotiate and sit on the table and negotiate for transitional body, the regime will continue to fight, and the regime will try to escape now Caesar bill and any type of sanction. If the people suffered or died or whatever, the regime does not care. And the Russian also should, after this report and other reports from the OPCW, should feel that this regime is hopeless, actually, and no one will deal with such a regime committed crimes against humanity, which is make any state actually dealing or supporting this type of regime involved in crimes against humanity. This is based on the international law, actually. And Caesar bill is very clear, all the sanctions. So the Russians should come to conclusion and stop immediately backing this type of regime. Then the conflict will be calm and will move towards steady and toward transitional justice.
Okay, Fadel Abdul Ghany, thank you so much for joining us there from Doha.